You know, I mentioned while we were shooting the live fish challenge, the third live fish challenge that we caught, I haven't had a chance to look at the winners, but by the way, I think that was the 19th cast. Lost one on the 12th cast, so you that had picked 12 cast almost won. And we caught one on the 19th cast, and that fish weighed 3.70. I don't remember for sure the cast. I think it was 19. I do remember how big it was. But I mentioned that I'd tell you how I screwed up the Lake Seminole FLW tournament. You know, I'd made the money the first two tournaments, kind of running on a little roll. When you're catching fish and winning money, you kind of feel like you're on a little of a hot streak and you're in rhythm, and maybe you think you're a little bit better than you really are. And I did okay the first day of the tournament, sitting up there in real good shape, up in the money. And the second day of the tournament, I only got one bite. One bite all day long. I had the longest day. I was in flight number 5, didn't have to weigh into 420. I catch a bass at 11:30 that weighed 5 pounds. Well, to be totally honest, weighed 4 pounds and 15 ounces, but a 5-pound bass. And so I only need one more fish. I've got 4 hours left to fish to catch that fish. But let me tell you what I was doing down there. I did the exact same thing that I did the first two tournaments at Sam Rayburn and at Toho, is I was finding flats that led into a big spawning area, and I was out in front of that fishing, you know, offshore grass. This grass wasn't very deep. It was only 3, 4, 5 foot deep, fishing offshore grass. I was catching my fish on a little RC2 square bill crankbait, shallow running crankbait, and I was catching a few on a Jimmy Houston Legend spinnerbait, and I was catching some on an RC3 shallow running crankbait. And here's the deal though. There was a lot of people fishing these type areas. There's a lot of areas around Lake Seminole like that, but get this, the area I was in, the leader after the second day was in that area. I fished the exact same places he fished. My buddy Scott Martin was in that area. He was in like 7th place after 2 days. There was another guy in there that was like 6th place after 2 days. Now, to make me feel a little bit better, there were several other friends in there. One of them was Andrew Upshaw, and he actually caught less fish than I did. But I caught only one fish that last day, so I weighed in 4 fish. It weighed 16 pounds. One more bite would have got a check. But get down real quickly. I had the right fish. I only caught 9 in practice, but they weighed 36 pounds, so add 4 more in the tournament to weigh 16, so I actually caught a dozen fish weighed over 52 pounds. But I was catching them on 2 baits, and I really concentrated on those 2 baits. Now, I switched around. I used a chatterbait, a lipless a jig. I used a lipless crankbait. I actually threw a Ned rig a little bit. And the only thing that I didn't do is I didn't move to a big worm, you know. And this winter, I've been catching a lot of big fish on big worms down fishing real slow. And I thought about it, but I never did try it. And I think this is the time that I screwed up. The other thing that's happening, when I was using my bladed jig, I said a lipless jig, but a bladed jig, a chatterbait type bait, when I was using that bait, or trickster type bait, like the Ricky Clun trickster that we make by Lucky Strike, when I was using those, I was using them with a tail, and I was using them with a skirt. The guy that was leading after 2 days, I didn't know this, obviously, until later, was fishing that bait naked. No, he had clothes on, but he was fishing the bait naked with no skirt, and he was putting simply a swim bait on there. So he had a bladed jig, like a trickster, and had a swim bait on there. So that is where I messed up, and they were fishing them dramatically slow. I saw the guys fishing around me, and a lot of times I thought they were fishing a jig or a worm. I even tried a jig in there. But where I screwed up was not fishing that chatterbait slowly. It just tells you can be on the right fish to win a tournament and not even get a check like I did. What am I going to do at Grand Lake? Well, I'm going to try that naked trickster just with a swim bait on it. Probably going to catch him on a crankbait and a spinnerbait, though.